set. It's time to dance. This is the 6A boys 4x400 meter relay. Into the first exchange. Lane 6. Klein force. Straight Jesuit running second now. Straight Jesuit doing the dance on the outside for first. Fanning out. Can he hold him off on the kick? This is the setup in the making. Second exchange turned away. Straight Jesuit again, running second. Can he close the distance as they head into the third and final exchange? Matthew Boling in his final race, about to get the baton. We feel like something is about to happen. 3:09 is the time to beat. Can he do injustice on this last leg? Can he close the deal? Klein Oak running third. Here they come for the final kick. Is it enough lead to hold him off? Can he put him in striking distance? Klein Oak running third. Here they are, final exchange underway. Do we have a walk down in this final race? Here in Mike A. Myers. Can he do it? Klein Oak running third. 300 meters remaining, and we see it coming. Ladies and gentlemen, get your cameras out. Can he go and get it? Final race as a high school performer. 200 meters remaining. Here comes the dance. Can he hold him off? 150 meters. He turns over the leg. Here he comes. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to know what's getting ready to happen. 100 meters remaining. Here comes the walk down. Can he hold him off? 50 meters. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Matthew Boling and his dog. Ladies and gentlemen, Houston Straight Jesuit, Matthew Boling, you will not see that again for the final run of his high school career.
We are back at Locker Talk with Matt and Josh. I'm Kiki Malatesta, and we are bringing you the latest news on high school sports. First, let's talk about the state track meet. What are y'all's thoughts on Matthew Boling?
I'm going to leave it to you. You were there. You broke the internet. What happened?
He broke
happened?
He broke the internet.
Okay.
Here's what Matthew Boling did. Well, first off, he wins the long jump. Okay, you get 6 attempts to win long jump, right? He only took 2. Then he put his warm-ups on and said, I'm good. And then he got gold for that. So long jump, let's check it for a dub. Then 100-meter dash, which is what everybody wanted to see. You have to imagine 25,000 plus people rising to their feet and roaring with their phones as Matthew Boling is going down the track in 10.13 seconds, which breaks a 29-year-old national record.
Awesome.
Check. There's another dub. Then the 4x4. The one that he's gotten a lot of attention for. He gets the handoff. He's 3 seconds behind, which in track is a lot. It's a lot to be behind 3 seconds. Then you can just watch the video. He does what he does. Final 100 meters, he kicks it in. And the fastest man in Texas, the fastest man in the country, finishes it off. And Matthew Boling has one of probably the most epic, amazing, memorable performances at UIL State Track in probably the history of UIL State Track.
What's kind of cool is I can't really remember athletes that have kind of cross-cut media like he's done it in the popularity. Granted, social media's got a lot to do with it. Go check out the video, 1.4 million views so far. Well done.
Still going.
Still counting. But we cannot forget about Klein Forest wins the 6A track meet, first time in their history, and the guys' side, or the girls' side, but the guys win. They beat Straight Jesuit by 2 points. Then you've got Fort Bend Marshall, who's had an amazing 5 years. They win, 4 out of 5 years?
4 out of the last 5. So Fort Bend Marshall, their relays continue to do what they do. And here's what the scary thing is is a lot of those guys on the relay team are going to put on pads and helmets this fall and be back on the football field for Fort Bend Marshall. So, I mean, an amazing weekend of track. Fort Bend Marshall, Summer Creek girls finished 3rd overall. Tiana Randall wins gold in the 100-meter dash as she finishes off her high school career. She's going to UNLV. But I know all the talk coming out is about Matthew Boling, but overall the city of Houston had a phenomenal weekend. Patrick Pippery also wins his first gold on his way to the University of Texas, and numerous other great performances as well.
Next, we're talking about spring football. Who are y'all starting to like coming out of the spring?
Well, that's easy. North Shore, they win state last year in Class 6A. They look loaded in pads right now. What their spring football is kind of like none other. Even college coaches, they go there like, God, these guys hit all the time. It's super, super high energy, and they do a ton of coaching in spring football. Of course, we're loving North Shore. I was out at the Katy Ridgepoint softball game. Just happened to pass right by the football field. Katie's out there working out. They're in full pads. Of course, they look good. And you mentioned Fort Bend Marshall. Those guys don't do spring because they're so heavy into track. They're going to be a power. But talk about maybe 2 or 3 other teams that we're really going to kind of dial into as we get into our Vite football preview magazine season.
Yeah, we're starting to get into that area where we start looking at the guys who are going to come back on the gridiron next fall. The team that made it to state last year was remarkable, and a team we're going to have to watch again this year is going to be Shadow Creek. I mean, they do lose their quarterback, Jamarian George. He's gone. Now, he was a great playmaker. But here's the thing about Shadow Creek that I really love, and we don't talk about it enough, is they bring back a stellar defense.
Yes.
Alec Bryant locks down the defensive line. Xavier Alford is back in the secondary. Warren Schenkel is back at linebacker. Those guys, the defensive unit is going to be phenomenal for this group. I think this could be one of those kinds of defensive units that we're going to talk about years down the road of how many D1 guys came off of that defensive unit.
And then offensive side of the ball, I love what Foster's going to do. Foster, they played each other in the regional finals, but that Foster, man, is loaded on offense. Great receivers, quarterbacks back, big offensive linemen in Fathery. They're going to be a super talented team. Other 6A teams, I'm kind of keeping an eye out for. Of course, you've got the Woodlands that's always, very talented. What will Westfield do? Can they bounce back and have another great year? They lost a lot from that team. So it's the traditional powers at B. I'm really excited to see who, as we do a bunch of our research, kind of emerges, and we'll see how good they're going to be.
I mean, there's always the teams that you look at as the power programs. I mean, Atascocita is going to be good. Yeah. Bryce Matthews, they bring back the quarterback from last year. Anytime you bring it back your quarterback, that's always going to be a good thing. But here's the thing about Atascocita. Coach Stump has always done a phenomenal job of going year to year and continuing to have that program make deep run. Summer Creek brings back their quarterback, Brian Bush. He's done phenomenal. I mean, it just goes on and on. You can never count out the Cy Fairs and the Katie's, right. And Tompkins is coming off a phenomenal year. So it's going to be really fun. We're going to be spending the next 2 months researching and dialing in to get ready for the 2019 Vite football preview.
It's a softball regional semis. Who do y'all think is getting out of the region?
Well, I tell you what, I got to see Cypress Ranch. Oak Ridge is really good. Cypress Ranch, they battled in a game that went on for an eternity, it seemed like. Clutch hitting, clutch pitching. I really like what Cy Ranch has done in the Region 2 at Class 6A. Kind of a surprising team to be advancing. They got a chance to get out of the region from the city of Houston. Houston-wise in Region 3, man, I really like what Katie's doing. The middle of their lineup is Murderer's Row. They can kill the ball. And I really think that they have staying power. They've got enough pitching. I like them in 6A. What about 5A? Who you like that's left in 5A?
Well, real quick, you say Cy Ranch is going to get out of the region. You know they're going to have to go through Klein Collins first.
Well,
are you talking about regional semis?
I'm just kind of impressed of how they've done thus far in the they're a bit of a surprise. Can they get by? I don't know if they can get by Klein Collins, but I tell you what, they've got a pitcher that carries the load for them. She's committed to the University of Georgia. She's a stud, and she blanked Oak Ridge, who can hit. But all right,
I agree
gears
with
to
you.
5A.
5A. It's still what we talked about last week. Angleton and Barbers Hill are on a collision course.
Yes.
And then we're one step closer. Angleton takes on College Station this week. Angleton took care of Santa Fe in a sweep last week. Barbers Hill had a one-game playoff against Friendswood. And that is unbelievable that was a one-game playoff between those two programs. They win that 2-1. They get Georgetown this week. But I'm already kind of cheating and looking towards next week. Barbers Hill versus Angleton would be a phenomenal regional final. Really should be a state semifinal.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that one of those teams is not going to make it to state.
Last is baseball. Who's looking good in the playoffs?
Okay, so in the playoffs, I got to catch some action. Man, Klein Collins, heartbreak hotel for them. They lose on a player interference to Cy Ranch, of course, in Region 2, who's had an amazing year this year. Cy Ranch, you got to be lucky sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That was their lucky chip that they just played. They're going to win this weekend. The Woodlands plays Klein in a one game. The Woodlands going to beat Klein. They're going to advance. They're going to get that much closer in that Region 2 and Class 6A, where it's going to be the Woodlands facing Cy Ranch. That's going to be an amazing matchup. What do you like out of Region 3?
Ridge Point is playing really good baseball. They played really good baseball throughout the entire playoffs. They swept both their opponents. This week, they run into Cy Fair. Cy Fair, we saw them, I think, last year make kind of a deep run, perennial program. Now, Cy Fair's had to fight their way through this playoffs. They've had to go to Game 3 in both their series, and that shows that, hey, they can get to that final game. They know how to shut it down. They know how to get to the next round. I think Ridge Point continues this run. I think Ridge Point's playing really good baseball. They got the pieces there. And then on the other side, Lamar takes down Katy, and then now they're going to get Memorial. That's an interesting matchup, but I think I really think in that part of the bracket, I still think it's Memorial and Kingwood are going to collide next week in a regional semifinal, and that would be a great matchup there. I just don't think Dickinson's got enough to get past Kingwood. I think Mason Wynn is too much of a pitcher. I just think once they get to Memorial, that's going to be pitcher versus pitcher and see who's got enough bats to really battle.
I'm going Cy Fair out of this region. I'm taking a sleeper. I'm going Cy Fair gets out of Region 3.
You like all the way to state?
Yeah, bro.
All the way to state?
They get to
You're
state.
saying Cy Fair.
Cy
You're
Fair.
saying today Cy Fair baseball is going to state.
In the Woodlands. You heard it here first.
Man.
We'll have more to talk about.
All right.
Let's see. The 5A region, Region 3 and 5A is pretty much dominated by whom?
Well, Region 3, 5A. It's one of those. It's one of those when you look at Tom Ball's been playing really good baseball. They've been our number one team throughout the entire playoffs. They get Magnolia West this week. That's a great matchup there.
Their pitcher, Mag West, will be drafted, but he's an LSU commit. This dude is a flamethrower for Mag West. But those two teams are really kind of cool. They're so close in proximity. You know, all these kids play summer ball with each other. That's going to be really kind of a cool matchup to see who advances there.
Yeah, another neat one, Santa Fe baseball and Barbers Hill are going to match up in this week's round as well. So, a lot of good baseball there. I think Barbers Hill gets past Santa Fe. I think Tomball moves on. I think Tomball really has a chance to make a deep run to state again like they did a couple years ago when they won state. Doug Rush just knows how to push the right buttons. He's got the pieces this year. Eli Kiram is a big guy that plays catcher for them, is a big key behind the plate and also at the plate as well.
I'm Kiki with Matt and Josh. Remember to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Also, check out the new Vibe gear coming soon.
See y'all next week on Locker Talk. Matt, Josh, Kiki. Good times.